Data is key, isn't it? Right? You've got your data flows. You're pulling them in. It's time to really manage and understand how we can evolve them over time. What's the things we should do? All right, lads and lasses, welcome along. Weekend work. Data and data flows is vital, isn't it? Right? No matter what you're going to use, you're going to get to the point where you've got tables of data coming in, and at some point, those tables are going to need to be evolved. We've suggested that data flows are an ideal landing point for your data in your curated area for your business, right? And I would really stick by that. I do stand by that assertion. They give a good way of taking data, be it from your on-premise systems, other cloud-based systems, even Azure, if you've got it in data lake storage in a raw environment there, and curating that into something that can be used by Power BI. And the core thing is we want this to be used by Power BI as the primary. It is possible to connect your data flows up to machine learning algorithms and things like that. You might want to do that, but there's different things that you'd need to think through in terms of what your data looks like. It will still work with Power BI, but you'll need to do some more shaping when you bring it through into a data model. So let's have a look, right? How does that all work? All right, so here I am, over in my workspace, yeah? My Dataflow Workspace. This one's for the New York water towers. So nice, simple workspace. We're going to put all the data related to the New York water towers. It refreshes. We can see when it's last refreshed. That's perfect for me. I understand what's going on. Next thing I need to do, or rather, as we move forward, what I'd be looking to do is to keep evolving it, isn't it? You know, it isn't static, isn't it? We're talking about this before. You know, data does not get better with age. You're going to need to be able to evolve and understand and improve your models, okay? So let's come in here. If we go to edit this, there's a couple of things we can do to make our lives a little bit easier, right? Click on the edit entities behind my head, right? So here we are in with Dataflow, okay? We can see what's happened. We can see all the steps like we would do on Power BI desktop, right? One of the things though that we can do in data flows that we can't do in desktop yet, and hopefully it will come, okay, is actually under the view menu, we've got the ability to view it in diagram view, okay? Now, when you're coming to do this and manage and update your data flows, diagram view is perfect, right? It does not get much better than that for setting out what do I need to do, what's going on. Okay, in here, if we expand things out, and we can see across all of them the steps that are going into it and how they come across and join together, right? Suddenly it becomes much easier to understand what's going on. One of the things that we would want to do, realistically, if we were going forward, would be to trim out here in the inspections. In the data, we've got the original inspected by and tested by data. Right? And that's something we want to get rid of. But that's a really key area, isn't it? That's something that you're going to, okay? So we fixed this to make it more standardized so that we actually knew where the realities were. So if you remember, we had like 50 plus entries for ISEC Brothers, okay? We standardized that down to a single one so that we can then report properly on what is actually happening by the inspection companies, right? So the original 50 plus entries we want to remove. It's going to be quite an inefficient column. It's an area we want to remove. What that means though is anybody that's using that in a report is going to suddenly have that part of their report broken, or that visual or visuals that rely on that broken. So the right thing to do when you're doing that kind of a rationalization is to speak to your customers. So you make it very clear. This column is going to disappear. We've replaced it with this on the 1st of March. It's going to change. It's going to disappear, right? Or we could have done the other way where we actually renamed the original column, right? Either way will work, right? There's some things you would need to consider about doing either one. And that's something we'll discuss more in the members area. So if you look over at Geordie Intelligence, I'll make sure there's a big piece discussing this really as to the pros and cons of either one. Both solutions are valid, but it depends on your business and the case in terms of that particular data entity, which one you should use. But I want you to see this. This is a really key area to be able to see, is be able to have this and view and see exactly what is happening at each step. And I think this gives a really nice way of looking at it. The other option that you should be looking at is your schema view. And over time, one of the areas that you really want to be getting rid of, especially in your fact tables, which if we think inspections is our fact table, is text. Text in fact tables is bad in general, okay? It's quite an inefficient way of storing things. So look through and see what we're wanting to do here. What we've got is lots of values that are related to the inspections. And as such, we could probably replace those with ones or zeros or, minus ones. So you'd probably be able to do some kind of a KPI scoring system on there that's going to be more efficient as a store of data. Yeah. So thinking through the storage, numbers are more efficient to store than text. If you can keep your number values to a small set, then it's going to be more efficient to store again. Okay. All this starts to affect your development cycles. So be aware of what you're doing and think through how we can make things more efficient. And of course, remember that when you are making changes and tweaks from text to number or doing something like that, you need to make sure people are aware downstream. So what do you reckon? Does that make sense? We've got this idea that we can build quite complicated data flows that are going to really allow us to understand and structure our data. And by doing it in a Dataflow workspace, we're saying the person who builds the data flow is going to be the person who has access to the data. Beyond there, the person building the data model just needs access to the data flow, not to the underlying data, because the data flow handles the access. So it's a good, secure way of starting to segment and divide up your environment. Okay. It's still a tough topic though, and it's still one that for all we'll give you pointers. Your best bet is going to be to start sitting down with your business colleagues and start to decide really what is going to work best for us as a business. So don't forget, like and subscribe down below. Put a comment in, let us know what you like, what you don't like, how have you done this? Take care. Have a great weekend. Ta-da.